Hello! Today I'm going to be telling you about 5 more Backrooms levels that I don't think you could survive even if you tried. These places have deadly effects, strange designs and layouts, creatures that should not exist because they're so disturbing, and most of all, these levels want to see you suffer. Probably, I don't really know. If you enjoy these longer videos, please leave a like so that way I know I can keep making them. Thank you for watching the video. Grab a snack, maybe some candy, it's almost Halloween. Sit back, relax, and get ready to hear about some of the most deadly Backrooms levels that I've talked about ever. Also, if you missed it, I just went on a 2-week cross-country road trip with the YouTuber Jaden Salads, and we visited the real-life versions of Backrooms levels in liminal spaces. We recorded the whole thing, we uploaded for 12 days straight. We went to level 0, 94, 5, 11, and plenty of other strange places like Omega Mart, this weird neighborhood, and just tons of stuff happened. All those videos are here on my channel and his channel. Check out the playlist below if you want to watch that. But without more interruptions and more blabbering on, I'm sure you just want to get to the video. So here it is. Level 107 of the Backrooms is classified as an undetermined difficulty due to its many mysterious properties and a multitude of unknown information and undocumented entities that we really don't know much about. On the same note, the level's true appearance is not 100% known. Like I said, this level takes your brain and it rips it to a million pieces, so it's hard to say how many strange and anomalous effects cause that, but I'm gonna try to get into all the theories about it here in this video. The reason for no information existing seemingly about level 107 is that when something or someone travels to the level, they undergo a severe mental function decrease, meaning that their brain essentially stops working for all intents and purposes while they're in the level. The reason this happens is not understood, since nothing like this has ever been noticed in the history of the Backrooms. We don't know what causes it. It could be some kind of amnesia, it could be some kind of psychological torture that they undergo while they're in there that makes them subdue it in their own memory. We don't know. But again, I'll be getting into what I think happens here and what other people think happens here later on. Even though an official, recognized description of what the level is doesn't exist, there is a main theorized one that most people typically believe in, and I'm going to go ahead and get into that right now, just so you kind of get an idea of what we might be talking about, and so you might get an outline, per se, of how this level rips your brain apart. The level is said to be an expansive warehouse-style complex made of heavily destroyed rooms and hallways. There are large pieces of rubble and building chunks littering the entire floor, as if it's caving in on itself. On that same note, the roof is also collapsing in many spots, causing dangerous scenes for anybody walking through it. But the main danger in this entire area is that whole rooms and hallways have live exposed wires dangling from the rotting ceiling and from the floor. These live wires could electrocute you and shock you with, many volts of electricity, and they can also cause death if you get tangled up inside of them. The doors in this giant warehouse are all hanging off their hinges as well, and the windows are smashed into a million pieces. It's said that there are also electrical boxes and surge protectors that are blown up here as well, constantly sparking and exploding in different parts of the building. All of what I just said makes this seem like a very dangerous place, right? You wouldn't want to even step into the level because I'm not trying to get electrocuted and I'm not trying to have the ceiling collapse on top of me, right? And the floors are also not much better. There's supposed to be rubble all over them, and there's holes below it that leads to floors beneath. There's also rusty nails and chipped wood and bent metal and other obstacles that have a chance of crushing you to death. The windows here are white and opaque, and nothing can be seen outside of them. However, when you get close to those white windows, you might hear a static noise that is emitted from them. And this static noise kind of resembles TV static, but it gets very, very loud the second you get close to it. This noise, in combination with the electrical damage and the electrical noise and the other oddities here, might be what causes the amnesia effect on people's brains, and that's why they don't remember anything. My theory personally is that they come here to this level and they fall victim to that static noise driving them insane and inducing paranoia, so they get really scared, and then they might get electrocuted with high voltage from the dangling wires, or they might get hit on the head with falling rubble. All of these things might cause amnesia. But like I said, there is no one perfect description of the level. My thing is just a theory. The description I just read to you is a theory. We don't really know. Another thing that we really don't know is the entity count that this level has, because it's pretty debated. Some people say that there's probably no entities here, because if there was, then people would have remembered seeing them. Others say that they've been there and it's crawling with entities, like wretches and skin stealers and tile traps and things like that. But one thing that most people that have come here can agree on is that they all recall hearing strange screaming noises emitting from above them while they're walking through the level. They might not remember anything else about anything, but they recall that screaming noise coming from the vents above. It's unknown if anybody's actually screaming for help or if it's kind of the level playing tricks. We just don't know. Another group of people say that the only entity here is the level itself, and it's some sort of gigantic creature that just wants to eat people. I don't think that's true, but maybe it is. I don't know. The leading theory on what this level is, though, is that it's some kind of pocket dimension that's only accessible by entering the physical space of level 107. And that somehow this pocket dimension is a null zone or something like that that blocks out people's ability to recall what they're seeing. Like the people that go there's eyes can take in what they're seeing at the time, but it doesn't log that as a memory in their brain, which essentially rips the memory glands from their brain. But whatever the case is, whether it's a destroyed building infested with live broken wires, whether it's some sort of alien pocket dimension, whether it's a torture chamber for a Backrooms deity, level 107 will shatter your brain into a million pieces if you get sent there, and after you come back, you won't be the same person after going to it. This level's page is very short. It's like 2 paragraphs long, so I tried to explain all the lore I could, and the last thing I need to explain to you is how to avoid that horrible fate of getting your brain put into a blender, and for that, you need to know how to enter and how to exit. To enter, you have to find a specific door over on level 106. That's all I have, that's all it says. And to exit, some say that you have to dodge the wires that are hanging down and electrocuting people, and then eventually find a hole in the ceiling that you can climb up through. Once you do that, you need to put a chair there and climb up, and then you'll crawl through the ceiling and you'll be sent to a multitude of different levels. That's if the level even exists. We don't have any actual data or photographic evidence of it at all. It's just hearsay, but we assume it does. Maybe. This is one of those levels that represents the strangeness of the Backrooms. A lot of the things here are not confirmed. They're not even real per se, but the threat and the danger of it is still there. Just the story and the idea of a place like this that essentially takes away your ability to remember things just by you going there, and you don't even recall the horrors that you went through inside of the level. That's pretty terrifying in and of itself, and the concept doesn't even need to be fleshed out. That's horrifying as it is, and I'm glad the level's written like that. Listen, if there's one thing I know, it's that the Backrooms smells horrible. Literally, trust me, it does. But thanks to today's sponsor, Scentbird, you do not have to smell horrible while exploring these said Backrooms. I personally been using Rag and Bone by Cypress, and it makes me smell fantastic. I've also really been enjoying Jet Black Platinum by Michael Malol. It too smells really nice. Scentbird offers a monthly subscription that allows you to explore over 900 authentic designer and niche fragrances. Using Scentbird, you get an 8 milliliter vial with about 120 sprays each every single time. And most importantly, it's enough to see if you actually like the scent. All you gotta do is put a few spritz in your hot spots and you're good to go all day. The things I talk about on this channel are oftentimes relating to death, decay, and stench, but you don't have to smell like that with Scentbird. So if you're curious, if you want to try to find your signature fragrance, whether it's a smoky, a sweet, succulent even, go to the link below in the description, because right now you can use code Broogli55 off to get Scentbird's first month for only $8.97, and your next month will only be $17.95. Again, that is 55% off just by using the QR code or going to the link below in the description. So again, thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. Without further ado, let's get back to it, shall we? Level 109 is classified as a Class 2 difficulty, and its description and overall vibe is pretty simple, so I'm going to speed through this section so we can get to the real nitty-gritty stuff. The level looks to be an infinite array of hospital corridors that are varying lengths and widths. Some of them are miles and miles long, others are just a few feet. The hallways themselves look to be constructed in a late 1980s, early 1990s style, and they're nostalgic in appearance and smell. A really soft, warm light emits from the hallway ceilings, kind of making you oblivious to some of the horrors that exist. Throughout the hallways, there are sporadically placed doors with various labels on them. Now, these labels might not be telling the truth because depending on what door you open, you'll walk into a specific type of room. Each door will likely lead to a room that resembles a specific type of hospital department. They're called auditoriums, and some of these can be small broom closets all the way up to operating rooms. Now, the good thing for you is that there's this handy dandy chart here that's going to show which rooms are which, and I'll break this down in a second, don't you worry. Unlike the hallways that connect to these rooms, they can be huge, right? The hallways can be infinitely expanding or really wide, but these rooms, they all seem to be a fixed length. There's nothing really enigmatic about them, they're just rooms. And it is in these rooms where really the only dangerous part of level 109 exists because of what they can house. They can have things ranging from entities to environmental danger to traps to entrances to the void and so on and so forth. Good thing, like I said, we have been given this chart right here, so it'll tell you where not to go. Supply rooms pretty much always are safe. They look like these large open areas with shelves and cabinets and containers, all housing medical stuff and other resources like almond water and first aid kits. You can come here if you need to find supplies for yourself or if you want to sell or trade supplies, I guess, too. They're pretty safe. Operating rooms are also pretty much always safe, and you guessed it, they just look like operating tables and rooms put together. Usually they're empty and they just have one table in the middle though. ICUs, or intensive care units, these are where things began to get a little bit more dangerous because these are typically abandoned and forgotten and deeper into the level. You might find a decayed body here or an entity here or something like that. Obviously I can't get too descriptive here on YouTube because of their awesome rules, so you just have to go to the page and find out the real nitty-gritty details yourself, but you can find some pretty gross things in the ICUs. Next up is the pharmacy rooms, which, you guessed it, look like pharmacies. These areas have medicines and other valuable things like that, which are highly sought after in the back rooms for trading and for your own use. I mean, imagine if you get sick or you hurt something, you can't just go to the pharmacy, right? But if you have stuff from here, you can treat that and you'll be likely to survive longer. The danger with the pharmacy rooms is that they're really unstable and they're usually dark, which means it's kind of hard to find what you're looking for, and entities might also be hiding there too, waiting to eat you. Things like smilers and skin stealers specifically. And finally, what you have all been waiting for, the most dangerous room on level 109, and why this video is titled The Worst Way to Die in the Backrooms. These are the biohazard rooms. Now, this one's pretty much a no-brainer because these areas are unfit for life. Now, Broogli, you might be asking yourself, why are they unfit for life? How is it not already a given that it's a dangerous place to be in? It is the Backrooms after all. Well, thank you for asking, but these specific rooms are unfit for life due to them being contaminated with high concentrations of the disease, or entity number 19. This is the entity that I was talking about in the intro, and I think it's the worst way to die in the Backrooms, and it really might be. So let me just go ahead and hop into everything about it, and I'll let you be the judge if you think this is the worst way you can go out, or if there's some other worse way that I don't know about. For ease of access, I'm going to read a paragraph or so directly from the page. That way you get that full, raw creepiness, you could say, because the page does kind of a scientific job of describing it, so I'll read that first, then talk about it. Entity 19, informally known as the disease, is a highly transmissible bacterium via airborne particles and infected blood. It induces disseminated intravascular coagulation, or DIC, which in most advanced stages leads to profuse bleeding and necrosis. Nice. The disease's scientific name is Staphylococcus liminalis, and it is a bacterial species discovered 100 years ago when an infected patient arrived for treatment here on level 109. It is a species derived from
from the Staphylococcus kind, inducing septicemia of thromboembolic origin. It can infect not only humans, but also certain animals and entities as well. Infection may occur by breathing contaminated air or by contact with blood contaminated with strains of the bacterium. The bacterium can be found in damp places, and it thrives particularly well in environments ranging from 24C to 40C, so hot places. As explained above, the disease causes the formation of blood clots that block blood vessels. This leads to hemorrhaging, coupled with hemophilia, and necrosis of the limbs and organs that no longer have blood flow to them due to the clot-induced blockage of the blood vessels. So that's pretty much the paragraph from the page, and essentially all that science talk means that if you breathe this disease in, or if you get the blood on you that's infected with it, you'll eventually succumb to clotting and thickening blood, and then it'll stop moving to your limbs, which will then rot off, and you'll begin to decay from the inside out. Great, that sounds cool, right? For legal purposes, obviously none of this is real, none of this is actually, fact. This is a creepypasta. That I'm talking to you, YouTube reviewers, when you're reviewing this video. This is not real. There are several stages that the disease is going to take you through before you get fully lethalized by it, and those are the peaceful stage, the hidden stage, and things like that. These are the first two stages, and during those, the clots will appear and the bacteria will be inside you spreading, but still about 70 to 80% of people on this stage, they can be cured. They'll be fine if you get almond water in your system or medicine. But who cares about the peaceful stages? We want to hear about the disgusting, gross stages, right guys? So when you get into stage 3, this is the complication phase, and it's really when things begin to get bad, and you're gonna start regretting your life choices, especially the one when you chose to come to this level for some reason. You see, because in stage 3, your blood vessels will begin to clog fully, and your skin will turn a bright red color because of this. Your bones will begin to crack, and your limbs will become stiff, and you won't be able to feel your extremities. Your veins will pop out and protrude, and after a few days of this, you'll begin to not be able to move, and you'll start to leak blood from various spots on your body. Any orifice, your legs, your face, anything with pores is going to leak blood. And you will continue to do this like a faucet until your body goes into full necrosis. What's necrosis, Broogli? That's probably what you're asking right now. And good thing for you, it's pretty much when your limbs are not getting blood flow, and they start to decay off and rot away like a zombie. This is when a victim of the disease is most likely to transfer it to other people because parts of it are falling off and spreading through the air. Because of this is the most dangerous stage for everybody else. Obviously, there's still one more stage to go for the person infected, though. The next stage is death. That's the joke. There is no more stage. This disease only exists on a handful of known levels, and it's mapped out here on this chart, and level 109 is one of them. In those biohazard rooms, that's where you might get infected by the disease. So after you just heard what I just talked about, limbs falling off, blood vessels exploding, you becoming this red, screaming subhuman, you should know that you never want to come to level 109, right? Repeat after me. I will never go to level 109. Thank you. So I think I described all that I can with the goal of staying monetized. I couldn't get too intense. Hopefully that was still good enough for you to get the picture of why this is so disgusting and bad. But I think this is probably the worst way to go out in the back rooms, and now you understand why. To enter level 109, for some reason, you can do so one single way, and that's from going to level 11, finding a hospital, locating a no-clip zone inside of that hospital, and going through it. To leave the level, you have to find a door labeled exit, and then if they're labeled correctly, then you'll be led to level 114. But you better hope that it actually is an exit and not an entrance to a biohazard room with the disease, because you don't want to look like a decaying red zombie, right? This Backrooms level has been assigned a class 4 difficulty due to the level being unsafe, unstable, and there is a minimal entity count. Although there might be more, I'll get into that at the end. The level itself takes place inside a 300 square meter structure that's split into 3 specific floors, plus a basement and an attic. So that's 5. The thing about this level is that it's not really that big, it's just large, and every single part of it has been compartmentalized and accounted for and documented, and you're going to want to listen because that would help you if you came here. The following list is the specific types of places that you would encounter while exploring this complex. There are 2 master bedrooms, 3 standard bedrooms, a central living room, which is the largest of all the spaces. Then there's a dining room, 3 kitchens, 4 pantries, a powder room, a laundry room, a mud room, 2 game rooms, a storage room, 2 giant closets, and then 4 empty, smaller rooms that don't really have a purpose. Each of those rooms are located throughout the different levels of the complex, and all of them are furnished with various things that correlate to what they are, obviously. The interesting thing, though,
though is that the majority of the stuff, it seems antique and old. Yeah, there's old telephones, there's tables and clocks and that sort of thing, but there also are modern designs. There's not just one specific type of generational architecture, it's all of them. Essentially, the entire level is that gigantic dollhouse that you can kind of see from the side with all those different rooms, and you gotta pick which one of those you want to hide in. The temperature inside the level stays cool constantly, and it's never been different from 63.7 degrees Fahrenheit or 17.6 Celsius. It doesn't go up, it doesn't go down, although some areas do feel colder or warmer depending on where you go. Like if you're in the attic, it's gonna be warmer than the basement, but the temperature stays the same. No clue how that works, it makes no sense. I stopped trying to make sense of it all a long time ago. The vibe of this level is that it's barren, it's lifeless. Even though there's furniture, there's designs, the rooms feel stale and old. The floors haven't been cleaned in years, and there's a general musty smell that emanates from every corner, similar to black mold. And all the couches and chairs and everything you see here, they're covered in dust and dirt and grime. Clocks in this level never show the correct time, or really any time at all that matters. Some tick really fast, some tick really slow, others tick backwards in reverse. And on top of that, if you come here with a phone or a time-telling device like a watch, it'll also experience that same glitchy behavior and it just won't work. But so far, you're probably thinking nothing is really out of the ordinary with this level, right? It's just this giant complex with different rooms that kind of look like house rooms. But we're at the point in the video now where I want to tell you what the actual danger of the level's properties is and the strange things that have been discovered because of that. You see, when you get sent to this level hide or die, you will be entered into this living room spot, which like I said is the biggest place of the complex, kind of the centralized hub. You'll spawn in, I guess you could say, standing directly in front of a television that's in that living room. Now, the only thing is, that TV has a 15-minute timer that starts counting down the second you get inside of the living room. Like the second you put your foot down in that room, 15, 14:59, 14:58, and so on and so forth. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that when there's a timer in the back rooms, usually something bad is about to happen. But at least here in this level, you actually get to know how much time you have before something does bad happen, or bad does happen, I guess. In other levels, like the Johnny's dinner party level, you got no clue how long you have. But here on this level, you have this timer, and the second, it starts in the level, you have to go hide, and you have to find the best hiding spot possible inside of this entire complex. Remember, you have 3 floors, plus a basement and an attic that you can try to hide inside of, and you need to go through all of these and try to find one that you will not be seen in. What are you trying to hide from? You might be asking. Well, that's pretty interesting. I'll get to that in a second. Once the timer reaches 0 on the TV, the ambient buzz of the house's lights and the air conditioning and all that stuff stops. There's no sound, nothing. It just goes completely quiet. It doesn't buzz off, it just literally stops making noise. At this point, the entire place will be fully dark and it's completely silent, and it'll be so for the rest of your stay here. At this exact point, a so far unseen entity will emerge from an unknown location and begin to look inside of the house, turning over tables, couches, and anything it thinks you might be hiding under, trying to find you. Now, there's several levels that have strange beings that hunt every few minutes, like the level where the music stops, or Johnny's dinner party, so on and so forth. But the interesting thing here is that in order to survive, you gotta go 30 minutes without getting seen. Now, last time I checked, 30 minutes, that's a long time. And this creature is very strange. The entity itself that is searching, it has never been seen fully, because you're typically trying to hide for your life. No documentation exists, but one single individual managed to hide under a couch, peek outside just long enough to get a glimpse at the thing. This is the rendition of the sketch that person gave. As you can see, it has multiple legs, multiple arms, multiple body parts, and they said that it seems to be able to contort, bend over and around, and form itself into any fashion possible to try to look under things and over things and between things. The eyewitness specifically said that this creature moves very strangely, almost like it has low FPS, like it's lagging in real life. It was very strange because why would something be lagging in real life? I don't know. They also said it possesses a really high level of intelligence and it's seen looking with intent, not just like a hungry animal that's ravenous. This thing knows what it's doing. After 30 minutes of trying to hide from whatever this is, the lights will then flick back on if you survive, and the creature will be gone outside of the level in an unknown way. Those who come into this level and they get found by the entity, the victims you could say, we don't know at all what happens to them. I'm assuming it's nothing good, but there are a few theories. Now, the horror of this level is not in its premise. There are other levels where you get hunted down, but the really scary part here is you gotta sit there silently in this empty place for 30 minutes without making any noise or anything trying to alert to your presence. And whatever's hunting seems very wise, so your best guess might not work. And there's another factor that might keep it difficult for you trying to stay silent. Because of several reports from independent people, they claim this level itself has more eccentricities. Multiple different individuals have claimed that this environment, these different pieces of furniture, these walls, they seem to have biological behaviors. For instance, somebody once was hiding under a furniture piece and they said it was breathing, like subtly expanding its chest area and contracting and expanding over and over. On top of this, people have reported the sounds of these objects also breathing, like breath coming out of them. And on even rarer occasions, when individuals are in tight, enclosed areas, some have reported that the objects, like walls or doorknobs or doors or any kind of furniture at all, they have human eyes embedded directly into their surface, and they activate and open up when the lights go off. The eyes seem to have a sentience behind them, and multiple times they've been seen crying. Even though they're not connected to a body, they're in actual furniture. So at first glance, everything looks normal. It's just, old furniture. But once you're hiding and once you're having to stay in these tight, cramped spaces, you notice that breathing, that movement, and the eyes, and every human feature begin to appear, and you notice slowly that you're not the only thing that's alive inside of the level. There was once a note that was discovered behind a mirror in a bathroom here that says, quote, "They are people." Like I said, this was discovered inside of that bathroom, and I guess it's kind of a wanderer trying to warn people that the walls, the objects here, they're not just objects. They are people. And it might be the case that the victims of this entity, maybe the entity turns those victims into these specific pieces of furniture. Maybe to further on its twisted game of hide or die. Whatever the case is, this is a terrifying place with inanimate objects that come to life, a strange creature that likes to inhabit it and hunt people, and cramped, disgusting hiding spots. It really doesn't sound fun at all, and if I'm being honest, this might be one of the worst ones to try to get sent to. So in order to avoid that, just ignore the entrances. Level Speak No Evil was discovered on September 25th, 1998, and is filled to the brim with very strange oddities. Because of this, it's been given a class variable difficulty, since there's no security, and there's an entity count that can change depending on where this level is at. And mind you, I did just say where this level is at, not where this level is. More on that in a second. From a physical standpoint, it looks to be a procedurally generated indoor storage unit complex of a medium to decently large size. The hallways here are brightly lit, and it's sterile and clean, and it's adorned with various storage unit doors. Each of these doors has a correlating number that goes right along with it, but the digits are not lined up and they're in random, nonsensical orders. Like, it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it could be 1, 5,000, 2, 18. You might also be thinking to yourself how weird the level name is, BHZSMZUY, and that's because that's just a code name for the actual level. If you take that code and you put it into a base 64 decryptor, it translates to LVL352, which is the official categorized number of the place, and that's also the name that you can never say. You're not supposed to say LVL352, except I've said it twice now, so I'm probably screwed. But I'll tell you why you can't say it in a second. The hallways of these storage units are winding, but they actually usually end up in T-junctions with each other, kind of giving different offshoots and different options where you can explore. But none of that matters because you all have seen indoor storage units before. That's nothing crazy. What actually is interesting is what lies beyond those storage units and how this level appears in the places that it does, and what appears inside of the units themselves. Opening any storage unit that you want to, you might be able to find different sorts of containers and boxes and other things like that. These devices are usually filled to the brim with items from that specific wanderer's past. So if you yourself had a stuffed animal, you might open a box here and find it. The majority of the people that do summon this level, notice I said summon this level, they end up finding things like old blankets, faded photos, and other things from their childhood like that. Each of these different boxes can kind of take you down a trip of memory lane, right? You can uncover those different past parts of yourself you might have forgotten about, and it's pretty nice. danger that this level presents and why it is called Speak No Evil is a very unique one, and it is simply because how intrusive the level is. When a person speaks or writes down the level's designated name, LVL 352, anywhere at all inside the Backrooms, no matter where you're at, this level will materialize within a 91-meter radius from that subject. So you could be on level 0, and you could say LVL 352 or write it down or anything, and it would appear right in front of you. And every time you say it, a version of the level appears, and it clusters together, and it ends up just being this gigantic conglomerate wherever you are. It'll essentially merge into whatever space you're at, and it won't leave until the document or the text is destroyed that you wrote it down on, or deleted if you typed it on a computer, which is why you say BHZSMZUY and not LVL352, because the level can understand any language that utilizes the Latin alphabet, or variations of it. Even things like French and Spanish and Polish and Vietnamese and English, it knows and it can track you and appear wherever you say it. However, BHZSMZUY, as a level, it cannot manifest itself if the person that says its name uses a 64-bit code or Greek or Arabic or different languages like that. So in a way, this level is kind of like Beetlejuice. If you say its name, it'll incur itself wherever you're at. That's why you can never say LVL352. This effect could be dangerous for tons of reasons. Like I've stated, it can just make this giant cluster that you're trapped in. You could also trap yourself in a bad level or a place with dangerous creatures, and you could bring those creatures into the level and trap yourself in a storage unit. You could also risk essentially breaking the reality of the Backrooms itself by having the level incur itself into a hallway and destroying the hallway, and then the fabric of space and time will collapse in on itself and you're gonna die. The most common places this level is merged with currently is in level 0, level 1, level 4, level 11, and level 61. These are just the common places for some reason where people say the name of the level. And since the level takes on and comes to wherever the wanderer is, it also brings the entities and the effects of whatever level it transports itself to. So let's say hypothetically that you say or write down LVL352 while you're inside of level Run for Your Life, and then the level appears right in front of you. You're screwed, because now you're trapped in these tiny storage hallways with a horde of entities chasing you to your death. And that same concept goes for literally any other level inside of the lore. The level's appearance also does not care what is in the way of itself. It will literally merge and break anything that is in its way inside that 90-meter radius. So if for some reason your friend is right in front of you and you speak its name, the level could merge with your friend and essentially destroy them from a molecular level by crushing them to death. And this is precisely what happened when the level was discovered way back in 1998. Quote, immediately after BHZSMZUY was mentioned, the level began to manifest around them in a near instant, presenting both wanderers with a paralyzing scare. A storage unit was recorded to be created in front of one of the wanderers, causing the wanderer to disturb the structure of the specific unit door, making the door from then onward possess large holes around where the wanderer's neck, left arm, and right leg were. End quote. So like I said, the level will appear and it doesn't care who's in its way or what's in its way. It'll wrap around them and merge with them, and you could literally be incinerated and crushed. And if two people aren't careful, if they're having a conversation about LVL352 and they say the name back and forth in a bunch, without even realizing it, the level will appear as many times as they've said it. So because of all the things you just heard, it makes sense that the level's nickname is Speak No Evil, because you shouldn't speak the level's name or write it down or anything, except me. I get a pass. There's a chart at the bottom of the level page depicting what happens when you say the name in different ways. For example, if you say it in English, it'll instantly materialize within 90 meters. But if you say it in Vietnamese, it appears after a small delay and then only manifests 86 meters away. However, there are a few ways to safely say it. One of them is BHZSMZUY. Another one is Morse code or sign language. If you say it in that, nothing happens. It is unknown how this level does what it does. We don't know how it teleports, we don't know how it appears, we don't know where it actually is located. But as far as we do know, it is the only level like itself in the Backrooms history. Because of this, until further research is done, you should never say the name. And the secrecy of this level should remain intact, except now it isn't, because I've said it to about 100,000 of you. And that's what I do. As far as entities go, the level, as I said, it takes on whatever entities that the level it appears in has. So if there's a native entity to any single level, they'll be here when it appears. To exit from level BHZSMZUY, you can do so by entering level 96. Now doing this, you have to find a small ventilation shaft in the level's manifestation, measuring a width of 38 centimeters and a height of 29 centimeters, which is very small, and you have to crawl through that vent, squeeze out to this metal grate, and then you'll be in level 96. That is the only way to get out of the level once you're inside of it, and wherever it appears, you also have to deal with the effects of that place too. This level is truly an enigma as it relates to all other levels. It doesn't follow any of the rules that we knew about the Backrooms, but I guess the Backrooms has no rules. It also adds another level of difficulty because you can't even say its name, and however many times you say it, it appears. So you could really cause havoc on any place you go if you're not, careful of what you're saying and you don't know what you're doing. It also could lead to the entire destruction of the reality and the spatial geometry of the Backrooms. So let me know what you thought about it down. Level 276 of the Backrooms, known widely as the Hive, is a place full of mystery, intrigue, and lore, and also death and mutated creatures. So I'm gonna attempt to make all of it make sense in this video today. There is a ton of lore, so I'll leave the page of the level in the description if you wanna go check it out, but I'll get into my explanation now. The level has been given a class Dead Zone difficulty because its environment is not safe for people, and the presence of strange beings kind of makes it not safe at all. The general structure of level 276 has been described as, and I quote, "The landscape of the Hive is a biological hell," end quote. It's a place constructed of flesh, bones, and various tissues, with zero design or logic in its layout. Now there's other flesh levels that I've talked about on the channel before. None of those compare at all to the Hive. This is a standalone thing. The hallways and the rooms and the expanses of this level vary widely depending on what location you're at inside of it. Some are tight, flesh-lined hallways dripping in saliva. Others are massive outdoor areas with mountains and trees all constructed out of flesh. These places outside even sometimes have rivers of blood flowing through them too, and obviously I can't show you images of that or my channel would probably get nuked, but you can imagine what I'm talking about. The flesh here has a distinct feature that sets it apart from other places as well, because everywhere you look, you'll notice that it's all rotting and decaying constantly. It's in a state of disrepair, and it obviously leads to many terrible smells that aren't meant to be smelt, and the presence of pathogens as well. But none of that is as dangerous as the creatures you might find here, and the sharp bones and corrosive acid leaking from the surfaces as well. But overall, you're not safe inside the Hive. It's a very alien-like place where no man should ever go. The Hive level itself is also in a very interesting spot in relation to other levels in the catalog. It exists from the Blue Channel, but also as a gateway between the Blue Channel and the Grave level. It's this doorway, this edifice, this pathway between the two. So it's capable of creating things that are living while also infusing those living things with the death and decay and anger and hatred from the Grave level. Pretty much, it's just the worst thing that could possibly exist. That's literally what it says. It's also said that sometimes even the souls of the dead from the grave find themselves here, and they're intermingled and tangled together with fleshy, disgusting bodies from the Hive and are warped and moved into these horrific creatures' bodies. Through the Hive's infinite expanse, you'll notice that there's these egg sacs that are attached to most of the surfaces. These are those eldritch horror creatures that I've been talking about. These are where the level cooks them up, and the place makes them from these eggs. Some of the creatures you've seen before, and you've seen them in other levels, but most of them are so disgusting and so dark that they never even are seen because they get so deep into the Backrooms and they crawl from the deepest pits of torment. Quote, "Every creature born from the Hive is but a monstrous shadow of what they were supposed to represent. Companion turned predator, skirmish turned gigantic, life turned undeath. Whether they came out of hope or despair, the thoughts given form are twisted by the Hive, not only strengthening the danger of the level in and of itself, but also the entire Backrooms due to the many no-clipping points that are present within it." End quote. So just by that quote from the level page, you gotta understand how dark and terrifying and disturbing the entire place can be. The level is sort of like the Backrooms version of a hell, in general. There's this pain and suffering that lingers through the expansive halls here. And it's almost like a sore spot in the lore of the Backrooms because of how terrifying and awful it is. Screaming and wailing can be heard when you come inside the flesh hallways here, and before you know it, you see death incarnate staring in your face in some human-animal hybrid. You know, in general, we kind of have some sort of understanding of how most Backrooms levels are the way that they are, right? We understand some parts of them, but the Hive is another beast entirely, and there's just things that crawl out of its depths that are not meant to be seen with human eyes and not meant to be exploring this entire place. But they do, and they're not going away anytime soon. Now, believe it or not, the level was not always this horrific, terrifying place that it is today. In fact, it's theorized that hundreds of years ago, the Hive was actually a lush and idyllic threshold between the grave and the Blue Channel. It's like a middle ground between life and death, like Nirvana, sorta. But over the years, it was corrupted, and it fell into this darkness that it currently exudes. This all happened when an evil soul from the grave found its way into the level and pretty much ruined everything for everyone, taking this bridge between life and death and turning it into Hellspawn itself. Over those years and decades, an entity that's been named the Hive Queen has rotted the entire level to its core and has created this flesh pit to be its little plaything. This is the only sketch that we have of the Hive Queen that we know of, and this is what she appears to be like. Some sort of gross humanoid head shoved onto a spider-like body. Obviously, it's gross to look at, but what it represents is even worse. Death incarnate, the embodiment of suffering and grief. You can see her face in this rendition. It looks almost sad, like she's full of emotions and anger and hatred. But then you look at her eyes, and there's this tears that are falling from these lifeless, deathly eyes. It's not really the fact that she's the queen of a human spider demon hive level that makes her scary. It's the fact that she doesn't care what she is that makes her scary. And she translates these feelings of hatred and evil into the creations that the Hive makes, turning things into dark and twisted and cursed beings that literally should not be allowed to be alive. Now, the terror of this queen entity and the level that she inhabits has been passed around the Backrooms as of the recent years and told like a story for kids to listen to at bedtime, like a scary campfire story, or maybe like a creepypasta in the universe. But the truth is, the place is real, where these foul things emerge to haunt the rest of the Backrooms. Whether we like it or not, it's literally here, although we probably wish it wasn't. Now, from 1872 to 1891, a French artist named Gustave Vincent entered the Backrooms and found his way into the Hive level through an unknown way. We don't know how he got there. But he said that the experience he had in the level changed his painting style and his outlook on life. He went from being this kind of lighthearted, happy painter to painting these feelings and creatures of disgusting death and decay. In his journal, he wrote that the Hive is, quote, a mockery of life, an antithesis of what the world is intended, hatred reigning over the madness of what it created, just as much as it created itself. These paintings you're seeing right now are his renditions of what he saw while walking through the level when he was trapped here, and it's pretty scary to imagine what the actual thing would have looked like. In order to survive an experience with what I would consider literally one of the worst and most deadly levels in the Backrooms, you need to look out for the actual construction of the place and the creatures that inhabit here. Yes, you know, you're gonna run into these mutated, amalgamated horrors with bulging eyes, teeth, cracked skin, bodies with liquid oozing out of it, and multiple arms, but you're more likely to slip and fall into pits of sharp bones, or drown in acid, or stomach acid, or whatever else the level excretes. Both these things are dangerous, but you're more likely to run into the actual environment dangers more than the creatures. So to survive, you have to watch where you step, and don't do anything stupid. Obviously, don't jump down giant pits you can't see the bottom of, and stuff like that. There are also several no-clippable surfaces that exist in the level, and you can use these to try to get out, although we don't know where they're at for sure. But overall, you just need to hope and you need to pray that you don't accidentally walk into the sight of the Hive Queen. Obviously, she will probably eat you, and only God knows what else she'll do if she sees you. you. To enter the hive level, it's said that you have to walk through a very tight, very claustrophobic cave corridor over on level 8 that's since been blocked off and sealed, obviously, so no other people can go, but there are other entrances that aren't even documented, and people still say they claim to go to this hive today, and they still tell stories of these flesh tunnels and egg sacs and creatures of the night and the Hive Queen. But knowing that anytime you're in any level, you could take the wrong step and you could end up in the literal domain of death where things have too many eyes and too many limbs, and this queen reigns over it, it's pretty horrific. But hey, at least we know what's responsible for all the horrible entities in the Backrooms, right? That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. It's like 50 minutes long, so I really do hope you got some enjoyment out of it.
Remember, guys, to check out Scentbird in the description below. You can use code Broogli55 off to get 55% off your first order, or you can click the QR code on screen right now.
If you want to support the channel, leave a like on this video, subscribe as well. All that stuff helps, and it's free. Also, go check out the Backrooms road trip series that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. If you missed it, you don't want to miss it. It was so fun. The videos are amazing. It was a great time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll just see you in the next video.